And of course, that's where our reigning Super Bowl champion is coming from, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I got to have Rebecca on to talk about her Chiefs.
Ayo.
You guys are going to hear her a little bit later on in the week talking about Mizzou with the SEC pod. So this will, I assume, be a little bit happier times with your reigning champion, Chiefs.
A little bit. Well, we just been riding on a high. I mean, 3 Super Bowl appearances in a row, 2 wins out of those. We just hosted the NFL draft.
Yeah.
We're just, we've got the World Cup coming, and Arrowhead's going to be used for that. I mean, that's still 3 years away, but whatever. We're still just riding on a high. We've got the first women's women's MLS team stadium being built. I don't know exactly what the league is, but the first soccer stadium for a women's team being built that, our quarterback owns with his wife. It's pretty fantastic. Yeah, we're just going. We're just going. And we're just going to hope we keep going. Because to be perfectly honest, we're going down soon. To be perfectly frank, I do not see this lasting too much longer, but we can get into that later or whenever.
I mean, even if it doesn't last too much longer, there'll still be some bright spots that you can hold on to a little bit longer until that moment happens. Might be another Super Bowl. I mean, you never know.
Potentially.
I mean, that's what I got in the overlay here with
Yeah, can they repeat? So I guess I can just start off with answering that. I definitely think we're going to win the division. It's a very tough division overall. I think I've heard on your other football previews, especially the one with Matt and Peter, just the AFC itself is it's rough. The NFC, it's we're just barely scraping by. But the AFC is loaded. But I definitely see another AFC West division title. I haven't even thought about my overall AFC champion versus who's gonna win the Super Bowl or anything like that. Could I see us getting a decent way through the playoffs? Yes. Could I also then see us not making it to the Super Bowl? Yes. Could I see us getting there? Yeah. But to be perfectly honest, and this is, I think, where Matt does not agree with me. I think we've been riding this high for so long that other teams are starting to figure it out. Now, whether or not whatever we've been working on in training camp, because we always have something new every year, and that's why we've been able to ride on this high. And so basically, I think other teams are starting to get smarter, and it's challenging us a little bit more. I also don't want us to sit in this high. I'm afraid we're going to start getting a little bit too comfortable. Not fully. I think we're still going to have a couple tricks up our sleeves, but I think we're going to start relaxing ever so slightly. And there's going to be those teams that see that little bit relaxation and a little bit of a step back, and they're just going to go full force. And those are going to be those games that we normally win, and it's going to get close, and then we might fall off a little bit. Now, do I see that happening for many games? No. I think if it happens once, even twice, we're going to shape up. So, did you have something you wanted to add? I wasn't sure if you were trying to talk over me. Sorry. I was okay, I should probably let him talk now.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. You don't want to get too comfortable in the NFL because a team can just sneak up on you like that. But, I mean, you have had battles with the Bills, Bengals, teams that have really fought tooth and nail with you guys in regular season contests, playoff games. So you're gonna have to watch out for them, and they're gunning for you. It's just a matter of not being too comfortable and like saying, "Hey, we are still the Chiefs. We are still the team that's had all the success these last several seasons. We still have the best quarterback of this generation, and
Amen.
one of the best tight ends ever played the game on offense." So yeah, you don't want to get too comfortable. That it's not good in any sport.
A
Um,
big point that Matt did bring up to me since you brought up Travis Kelce is, and I've made sure he hasn't forgotten this. So beginning of last season, he was like, okay, no, like he was like looking at all these tight end record or like stats or whatever. He goes, no tight end has like still been as good, like has stayed in their peak or kept going up past 33. And Travis Kelce was 33 last season.
right.
So he's like, he's going to start his decline. We saw how that went. That didn't happen. Matt's like, it's going to happen sooner or later. Does he have one more good year left in him? Does the decline start this season? And if Travis Kelce starts declining, what happens to everybody else? Because right now, especially like that offense, we've lost Tyreek
Right.
and we're still trying to figure out what's going on the running back side. I mean, we've got Marquez Valdez-Scantling for receiver. I mean, if you've got like two offensive weapons, we used to have like 4 or 5 that we were consistently relying on. The running backs,
Yeah.
receivers, Travis. If we fall down to like just if Travis Kelce starts declining, we basically only have Valdez-Scantling. What's going to happen? We really don't
Yeah.
know. We really don't know. And Patrick Mahomes can
Yeah.
only do so many Patrick Mahomes things. He needs help. Like, I mean, he can run, obviously, but he's going to want to throw. He's going to want to do his fancy throws.
Hmm.
Gotta have people to help out there.
Yeah.
And I
It's a really
I
big
think it
deal.
might start. I don't think it's going to be like a crash and burn season for Travis. By the end of the season, are we going to probably start seeing some slightly lower numbers? Probably. I think we're going to start seeing it. I think we're going to get 3/4 of the way through the season, and we're going to start seeing, hey,
Yeah.
Travis is starting to go down. And that's when they're really going to start needing to bring in that second stringer. Which I don't remember his name. He ran a few. We went to training camp last weekend. We only managed to stay for about 10 minutes because then the rain poured down. Matt saw 2 Patrick Mahomes. What were they? Sorry, he said it. Incomplete passes. I was like, why can I not think of the phrase? He saw 2 Mahomes incomplete passes, and he was like, oh my gosh. We saw a couple of impressive, like mid-range throws to Scantling. And then we saw a couple, like we saw some punt work, and then the storm came in
Mm.
super fast. That's all we were able to see. So unfortunately, I've got nothing really to share from training camp like I thought I would. But 2 fights broke out within 2 days of camp, and I'm like, y'all need to
Yeah.
settle down. I know it's hot. I know it's been miserable here with all the rain. It turned muggy, and I
Mm.
mean, it's Missouri. It's miserable. But
Yeah.
like y'all need to calm down, and especially if like whatever if like there's more to it than just it's hot and we're acting like children. Yeah, if that continues, obviously we're in so much trouble because we're obviously not going to work together. But yeah, I definitely will be interested to see how Kelsey performs this season. But that's my pick. That's my bet. Is we get 3/4 of the way through, he's going to start slowly tapering off, and then next season, I think
Mm.
he's going to be starting to split time a little bit. I mean, even if he's still doing fairly well, he's going to end up needing to pass the torch along.
Right.
So he's
Yeah.
probably going to, they're going to want to share that load. It'd be my guess. To me, that's the smart
Yeah.
thing. It may not be I might be the dumbest person now, and everyone's like, "Oh no, that's not how it's done." Okay, yeah, fine, sue me. But in my ideal world, you're gonna want to start sharing that load. Kind of like didn't yeah, like I mean, like when Mahomes' rookie year, he was not the main starter, but he did get some reps in. You
Right.
want that
Yeah.
before you're the main starter. And look at him now.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally out of line.
Yeah. Yeah, the 34 thing, which he's going to do in October, um, that kind of would line up with like about you start to see him do good, and then around I don't know with a third left of the season, you kind of start to see a little bit of it that could line up. I don't know how math works. I don't know how far October is into the season. It could be halfway through. Uh,
Yeah,
it's
like
probably
late October, I feel like it's halfway through at this point, but I don't know.
yeah.
In
I
terms
don't
of
know.
regular season,
Yeah. Um. I mean, I would expect maybe a little bit of a decline as far as stats are concerned, because looking at his stats, I mean, he had a career high in receptions, in yards, and touchdowns. And I mean, that was the year trying to figure out what to do with Tyreek gone. And so obviously, Kelce, yeah, you're number one now. So gonna lead in those stats. Um, so I could definitely see that decline coming soon, but I think if the decline happens a little bit later, then I think that there's still potential that y'all will make the Super Bowl and find a way to make a good run. I think I think when he starts to decline, that maybe when you get a little bit too comfortable, and there's that what you were talking about, like the things that you've been used to, they're not going to come by easily anymore. It's going to be harder to work for, harder to come by, and that could come with potentially his decline. And I mean, yeah, this group of receivers, like you said, Mahomes can only do so much. Um, MVS, he's a guy that can go and stretch the field, great, but I don't remember him doing a whole lot last year. Sky Moore drafted him pretty early on. I mean, I think you hope that he can get on the field and contribute more in year number two. They signed Richie James from the Giants, who did actually pretty well in that Giants receiving core that was just like awful. Um, and then I think the real big thing is, besides Rasheem Rice, who they drafted, is Kadarius Toney, because he offers that. Right. I mean, well, it's really kind of like you didn't see him on the field as much. I mean, you'd hope that he would. Hope that it's just like grasping the offense, and how long does it take? Sometimes it can be more easier for some people. Sometimes it can be more difficult for others. You know, but I think Kadarius Toney, I think, could be a real key in unlocking another weapon for this offense. And he's going to get a full season now with this team, full training camp. You just got to hope that he can stay healthy a little bit and not be on the sidelines. And if he can, he has the explosiveness to make some really amazing plays in the Chiefs offense, in which we know has had some explosive playmakers like Tyreek. Maybe he can be the next one in line. It's just going to be all about trying to figure his stuff out. If he can get healthy, he can get right, and build a rapport with Mahomes, because that's an important thing with quarterbacks now. If you can build, or for quarterbacks in general, if you can build a rapport with a receiver like Mahomes has with Kelce or over time, then it's really going to help you, because that means you added somebody else to look for in the offense, where you're not just strictly looking at Travis Kelce. It's like, okay, Kelce's covered. Where's Tony?
And
I think it's
having those built up means should Kelce start declining, then we're
right.
okay. Because we had Kelce, we were just fine when Tyreek left. We need to get
Yeah.
back to that point. So should Kelce go down, we have a number two. Very easy, like, or
Yeah.
neck and neck number one kind of relationship again, like how Travis and Tyreek were.
As far as defensive wise, I think a big part of the reason why the jump was made in getting to the Super Bowl and winning it, that defense really took a turn for the better in that second half, where
Sure.
a lot of young guys, and there's a lot of young guys that played on that defense last year that really, you got growing pains to go through, especially if you're a rookie or a second year player. You got a lot of that stuff to go through. They just, you know, went off into the right direction at the right time, and it spurned into a Super Bowl championship for them.
Yeah. And one big key player on that defense is Chris Jones. And Matt brought this up because he's that guy. He's only got 1 year remaining on his contract. Did I have any idea? No. I asked Matt, "Do you think there's anything I need to say on the AFC West podcast?" He goes, "Yes, talk about the Chris Jones contract." And I was like, "What about it?" So there's 1 year remaining. And as of 7 hours ago, it seems like he's still holding out from like training camp. It looks like there has not been. It doesn't seem like it's anywhere close to
Yeah.
an extension. So, and as Matt said, it could be the second big fish to go away after Tyreek after this year. Um,
Yeah.
so it'll be really interesting the closer we get to the start of the season. Because I don't know anything about contracts and stuff. That's all Matt's thing. They could finalize that contract at any point, right? Even in the middle of the season. So,
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know how often like extensions like this are negotiated mid-season, when there's other things on your mind like playing football. Um,
Yeah.
so it's still completely possible that there's that extension, but it's also right now it's looking more likely that this is his last year with us. So it's just going to be interesting to kind of just see
Yeah.
how the year goes and then what ends up happening by this time next year. Do we have Chris Jones at this point next year and we talk about the AFC West again to preview for 2024 or not?
Yeah. The contract thing, yeah, it's going to be tough because defensive tackles, there's been a lot of good defensive tackles that have gotten paid here in recent months. Jeffrey Simmons did, Quentin Williams from the Jets did. And it was like over in excess of like 80, $90 million. And I can't remember how much guaranteed money there was on those deals, but probably a whole lot. So yeah, I think he's probably going to take a look at those deals and like, I want to be richer than they are now. So if it's, I don't know, I think Quentin Williams' contract was around 91, 92 million or something like that. I can't remember. So he's probably going to be wanting well north of that. And could it get to 100 million? Maybe. But it's definitely not what you want with your star on defense not being in training camp and getting ready for the season.